Welcome to the Authenticos podcast, the show that covers everything related to delivering digital transformation in large organizations. Your hosts, Jacob and Jesper, will share their own stories and unfiltered views as they guide you through delivery of digital transformation.
Right, Jacob, let's get real.
Let's get real.
Which is the theme of this episode, which, to be honest, I kind of stole from one of my favorite books when it comes to just, how to engage with people as a consultant, or just engage with people in general. It's not just for consultants. And the book itself, obviously the whole point of that is, are you speaking your mind? And are you speaking to the right people?
Yes.
Which is a big thing in our industry, and when it comes to digital transformation, it's
a major key factor in our industry and engaging with customers.
Exactly, and what I quite often see is that people, both on the receiving side and the delivering side, that they quite often just put like a mouth basket on themselves and start filtering what they really mean.
Yes.
And it just becomes a bit detrimental because you don't know the full story or full picture of what people are actually thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So
speaking your mind but also giving the best recommendation to the customer. If the customer is requesting us to solve a specific transformation challenge, and we as advisors, consultants cannot do that, or even worse, as you said in the beginning, are not speaking to.
You don't dare to do it.
You not dare to do it because you have maybe the power distance between the cultural aspect, but also that you're talking to, what you said in the beginning, the wrong people within the organization.
Yeah. It's a tough one because I see a lot of projects suffering from this. That they let's say they get a lead in, or a manager or a consultant, and when you speak to them on one-on-one, you are aligned. You can't understand what they want. They will utter their opinions. But when it comes to kind of presenting it back or making demands, they don't do it. They don't share their honest view, and it's a tough one because because it means that you're going to operate with a fragmented view of the world and the people that's in your team as well.
Yes.
So I don't know if you have like any examples of your experience with this.
Yeah, I do, and it goes back to one of the transformation programs I was involved in, where technology, ERP, which is within my, the space that I have been working mostly within. And there were reasons, without going too much into details, there were reasons to, look across the ecosystem.
Yeah.
But as it often happens, you reflected, some of the consultants were reflected, promoting their own ecosystem, even though
it's not the best fit.
It was not the best fit for the customer.
Yeah.
And I find that really, really interesting. Who are you representing here, or who are you trying really to give the customer the best advice, even though
And are you trying to do the best on the behalf of the company you are employed at?
Exactly.
Which is just made even worse if you are under some kind of sales target, or then it.
And that's why customers sometimes come to you and me and say, okay, we need some independent advice. Which direction should we go? Should we? I've been talking a lot about this. Should we not only put all our eggs into Microsoft basket, but should we also go across ecosystems, which some customers, they do these days. So they have maybe...
It can make a lot of sense, depending on the organization and the strategy.
Yeah, and we already talked about that, and we were going to talk about that in some other episodes. But my point is that sometimes you need people like ourselves to be, to give that clarity, to give that direction to the customer. And I find that really interesting.
It is
to operate and give because that's what drives me. I'm not driven by a specific technology. I'm driven by giving and providing, our customers the best honest advice and solving transformation challenges.
Yeah,
and whether we do that with the technology A, B, or C.
Yeah,
that's for me secondary.
Yeah, and actually, back when I was working as a consultant, when people asked me, "What do you do?" This can be funny enough, a very hard question to answer. When you work as a consultant, without making it sound very airy-fairy. Mm-hmm. But my answer would quite often be, people pay me money to ask the questions they don't dare to ask themselves. And that's really what it comes down to, because let's get real, right? Let's just tackle the elephant in the room. Let's just talk about it, start dissecting it, rather than all of us just pretending it's not there. Because if people don't speak their mind, and obviously there's ways to speak your mind. There's the constructive way, and then there's the very, very negative, damaging way.
Absolutely.
Then you're setting yourself and your team up for failure. And I think you need to somehow foster safe spaces for people so that they can start, taking off that mouth basket of theirs and get real.
Yeah.
And then there's the second part, right, which is, are we speaking to the right people? Are the right people engaged? And
I have seen that a lot, over my years.
Exactly.
Many times. Even people, the wrong people, being allocated to a steerco.
Yeah.
So imagine you were sitting in a steerco, reporting progress, risks. Those things.
You need to make decisions and mitigation actions,
But the program was not set up. I touched upon it in a previous session, but was not set up for success. So the people sitting in that steerco were not the one making the decisions. And able. So we were not speaking. We were not speaking to. Not only were we not speaking to the
wrong people.
We spoke to the wrong people, but they were not. They were not even able to carry the message forward.
I see.
In the rest of the organization.
So, and the whole purpose of a steering committee is that you can make decisions there that are, crucial. And so
my point is to say that it happens on all levels in the organization.
Yeah.
It happens in the project team. It happens in the transformation office. It happens in the relationship, internal versus external.
Yeah.
And it even happens, towards higher management in the organizations.
And it's an incredible time waster and cost consumer as well. The time that I think that is actually spent in organizations speaking to the wrong people.
That's why in the first episode you remember that I gave those 3 bullets of, and one of them was to actually set yourself up for success.
Yes.
That's a key thing. You do your assessment, you engage the people who can make the decisions, who are the right people. You do that analysis very early, but you also do it. You do it in depth. meaning that you will take the time to do it and don't rush it.
Yeah.
Because, okay, what happens if you don't do it?
Exactly.
Things like that happens. You structure a program with people who don't have the decision power, who are not, able to, fulfill the roles that you expect them to do. So setting yourself up for success, that's really key.
It is, and you're right. It happens at all levels in all situations. Because if I go to my company DAG, where we also have a product arm where we sell integration products, I would say 1 in 3 times when we have a new customer that approaches us, the person that reaches out, even though there's a genuine interest, on the surface of it, it can look like it's worth engaging, and we will engage. Then I'll say 1 in 3 times that person is not the right person to speak to about whether or not the organization can even buy our product, or whether or not the product is actually a fit. So to me, that's just become a very important part to identify the person I'm sitting in front right now. Is that am I having the right conversation with that person? And can they progress it? And if not, then at least typically that person can then lead me to the other person, and they'll be like a gatekeeper rather than the decision maker.
Right. And I can bring it over to the change management side and say, okay, the whole identification of who are going to be the change ambassadors within the organization. I have worked with clients where we didn't have those, or we had the wrong ones.
Yeah.
We had to change those during the program. And that's where, at least I come in and help identify, who are these people who can actually make the decisions around new processes, new data model, new technology within the organization, who can drive that and make those decisions.
Yes.
I think that's really important.
It is.
So they both understand where we're coming from, but they also know what's the future going to bring. So what's the to be going to be?
Yeah.
But they're willing to take and make those unpopular decisions.
Yeah.
Take them on them, because it will create disturbance in the organization while they implement, or while we implement.
And that actually reminds me of a project I did as well for a very big charity organization in the UK, and a lot of things happened on that project, and we'll touch on that in some other episodes. But because it was a charity organization, they were extremely sensitive to the people in the organization, because a lot of the people were volunteers, so you can't disrupt them too much, because it's free work, so they'll just leave potentially. But what that sensitivity or awareness around all of the whole organization, what that did is that when we went to a workshop or planned the workshops, they were very, very good, even at the workshopping stage, where you drive out the requirements and you make the future business processes, to have the correct decision makers there.
Yes.
And also making sure that they knew that they were empowered to make decisions on behalf of the organization. And then also all of them knew what the escalation point was for a certain stream.
That's a very good thing you mentioned there with who are these people? Have they been given the authority to make those decisions?
And one of the ways they did it, which I liked, was that so we had we had a massive project office, because I think we were probably 80 people on that project. I was an upcoming architect at that point, but every role description was plastered on the wall, for everyone to see, along with the project timeline, just printed out. which does something when you see things physically. But those role descriptions, I'm a business analyst or process lead. This is what I'm allowed to make decisions on. And then you could not confuse it. And their mandate at the same time had been communicated, which was just very powerful. And to me, that's probably the best example I've seen when it comes to involving the right people. So yeah. Then obviously there's also the other end where I'm sure you tried this too, where it's almost IT that just operates everything in a silo and tries to define what the business should do without talking to the business.
Yes, I have, and I've been in several, I've been part of several programs.
Yeah.
Where business were looking more at IT than inside themselves.
Exactly.
Because business didn't know, the core.
Yeah.
The core processes. So they were looking at IT, and it was a workshop. We were defining the future state.
Yeah.
And I told IT, don't say anything. Don't. The business, in this case, supply chain, finance, they had to collaborate to find, and not look at IT.
Exactly.
And we had some really good discussions around that.
Yeah. And if they don't do it, they won't take ownership of it either down the road.
No, and that was actually part of this program, was to transfer knowledge from IT and over to the business. So business, going forward, were able to run more strategic programs without IT.
Yeah.
So it was a bigger transformation.
Yeah.
Besides the program itself, it was also building up knowledge in the business, and I think that's reminds me. It's also a future episode that we're going to talk about.
The role of IT.
The role of IT in the future. And
this is hugely interesting because some organizations it's a service provider, other places it's it's just they are driving the business strategy alongside the CEO. But I quite often I find that you can quickly identify how they are embedded in the organization, also just by looking at the management layer.
Yeah.
Do they have a strong CTO or not? That already tells you a lot, or CIO. But digressing from let's get real. Well, actually, or maybe this is just a natural point to stop.
It just there's so much content into this topic. So I think besides what we already discussed, it's going to feed into. There's going to be more.
Yeah.
There's going to be dribble effects into future episodes where we're going to
absolutely
talk about the role of IT, change management.
Yeah.
So it's going to be.
Yeah, but just to summarize, this is just about. There's no answer to this really, but it is an issue out there that people don't speak their mind, because quite often people sit with the right answers, they just don't share them because they're scared of being judged, or they don't want to engage the politics. And then there's the other side of it. Are we speaking our mind, and are we speaking to the right people? And it's at least for people that's involved in what we do, that's something they need to be highly aware of all the time.
And maybe that's the key lesson from this, that it's something, pat behind your ear when you go into meetings, when you structure teams, when you engage new partners.
Yeah. When you put a meeting into the people's diary, A, is it the right people? And B, can I get the decision made with these people that I need in this meeting? It's like already there. Just start thinking about it. Because to your point, it's at all levels. It's not just a management thing. It's people need to be aware of it. Yeah, everywhere.
And I like that what you said. If you call in for a meeting, put into the title: is this a decision meeting? Is this a discussion meeting? Are we gonna what are the expectations? Are we gonna read some discussions? Some conclusions, some decisions around this meeting.
Yeah.
Do you have the right people engaged into that meeting?
Yeah, and actually, I just so on a current project I'm working on, I actually just announced to the team that I'm helping managing that. If there's any meetings in the diary where they can see that they can get it resolved just by sending the answer on an email, do it. If they feel like they don't need to be in a meeting, put your hand up, and then just let us know. Because I'm just trying to be very much aware not to waste people's time, and also just speak to the right people so we can all be as efficient as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Good.
Yeah.
Good discussion. Good point.
Yeah, but
thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Well, thank you for sharing as well. It's
I'm trying.
You are. It's going well.
Okay.
So on to the next one.
On to the next. Thank you everyone for listening.